यस्मात् जातं जगत् सर्वं यस्मिन् एव प्रलीयते येनेदं धार्यते चैव तस्मै ज्ञानात्मने नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। तैत्तिरीयकसारस्य मयाचार्यप्रसादतः विस्पष्टार्थरुचीनां हि व्याख्येयं सम्प्रणीयते। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ यदा ह्येवैष एतस्मिन्नदृश्येनात्म्ये निरुक्ते निलयने भयं प्रतिष्ठां विन्दते अथसो भयं गतो भवति। यदा ह्येवैष एतस्मिन्नुदरमन्तरं कुरुते अथ तस्य भयं भवति। तत्त्वेव भयं विदुषो मन्वानस्य तदप्येष श्लोको भवति। So last class we saw this base by which we get fear, because we were trying to understand the various aspects of what we may call it as fear. So if you may recollect, we said the first reason why this notion of fear can ever happen to anyone is recognizing that there is a second entity other than oneself. If we think there is a second entity other than myself, other than oneself, there is scope for fear. Now, two types of fear can happen. The first is on account of competition, because now I am seeing something other than me. So it can manifest, a certain dimension of fear can manifest through what is called competition. You know, it is a threat, it is overpowering. There are so many dimensions. A simple idea that when there is a bus comes, there is a fear whether I'll get a seat to sit. So I have to, now somehow, even from such simple things, I am saying that a second entity is a requirement for generating fear. So one is, I broadly call this as competition, where there is this scarcity, there is this overpowering, there is this threat. All that can be one possibility. The second dimension is comparison. If it is not competition, it can be a fear of comparison. You have inferiority complexes, superiority complex, then you have, lots of mental issues which comes out of comparison and so on. So the second dimension of this second entity as a reality which we live with will give us what is called comparison. First is the competition. So this is the first factor. Now second factor is what I call it as deha abhimana, body consciousness. Body consciousness generates its own fear. It could be in terms of death, separation, in terms of diseases. All these are broadly under the deha abhimana. Now it is also important to know that Deha Abhimana is itself a mechanism for creating duality. If the Deha Abhimana grows, then the sense of individuality grows. I am so concerned about, there are people who are so concerned about the space, about where they sit, who sit by the side of them, so many issues will come. So Deha Abhimana also generates duality. Although the type of fear, as I said, are death, disease, separation and so on. But the second thing that happens is it promotes the existence of this Dvaita, the duality. Then third is the fear of the unknown, which is what I was trying to talk about. Now, fear of unknown, conceptually look at this idea. If there is a fear of unknown, that itself means there is duality now. Because there is a known and there is unknown now. So the fear of unknown again is an index of our recognizing what is called duality. If there is no duality, what is unknown? Everything ought to be known. The very fact that there is something called unknown itself is a clear indication that it is coming out of this notion of duality. Otherwise, this unknown is not possible. I am logically arguing. If there is only one, where is the possibility of an unknown? So to conversely argue, if you have a fear of unknown, that means we already recognize that there is something other than me. That is why the unknown is a domain which I have to tread. So that also is arising out of duality. And then the last which I talked about is fear out of unethical behavior, breaking rules, all that immoral behavior, ... Now again, all those behaviors are coming only out of duality. Why do I indulge in unethical behavior? Why do I indulge in immoral behavior? There is a certain sense of me being threatened. There is a feeling that I need to self-serve. I need to strengthen and, things related to me. So the point I am making, although I showed 4 different factors, in a nice chart I showed, the point I want to make is fundamentally all of them are riding on this fundamental idea that very fundamentally, if we have to live with fear, degradation causes live it, because we undergo all kinds of fear. So if we have to live with a certain aspect of fear, the necessary and sufficient condition is to exist something other than me. That's all. That is all we need. This is to critically analyze the fear. If there is fear, or if there have to be fear, what it means is it requires only a simple idea that I must conceptually say there is something other than me. Only then fear can ever be generated. Otherwise fear cannot be generated. It's a very logical way of putting all these together. That is exactly what this Shruti is saying. This fact that if you get convinced that you are an individual unit, then you have to live in a domain of fear. The gradation and the pattern and the types can vary. So that message is what this Shruti is bringing through the mantras, which we saw a little bit last week. We will see it now. Just finish this idea. So yada hi eva yeshaha etasmin, in this. And how is this look like? This is adrishye. This cannot be seen. If there is only one, for seeing you need a second. There is a subject and an object. For seeing, you need 2 entities. If there is only one entity, you can't see. What are you going to see? You can't see anything. That's why adrishye actually indicates that it is oneness. That is the meaning of adrishye. Anatmye. Again, if there is one, then you cannot condition with my bodies. You can't divide it into smaller pieces. Let's say anatmye. Anatmye, anirukte. If it is a vast expanse of one thing, what are you going to divide? I mean, that's why, in astrology, it's simple space. They don't know how to divide it. So artificially they have put 30 degrees and made 360 degrees is split into 30 degrees each, and they call it a zodiac. It's only an artificial tag. There is nothing special about it. Because it's all cannot be determined. Because it is one. It's one vast expanse. So anirukte, abhayam. That is, only when all these are there, abhayam will come. Pratishtam vindate. Your thing is, it establishes in a concept called fearlessness. That is the meaning of this mantra. So this mantra is saying that fearlessness will happen only when we are able to conceptually, experientially come to a conclusion there is only one God particle which can manifest in its own ways. I mean, it's easier said than done. But that is the argument. That's why all these ataha, from that, thereafter, consequently, because this oneness is now recognized, ataha, saha abhayam gataha bhavati. That person who is able to revel in that oneness will reach a state of fearlessness. Janaka was told, abhayam vai prapto si janaka. Yajnavalkya said in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, abhayam vai prapto si janaka. You have become fearless. He is able to see through these commonality beyond the seeming divisions. So that is what this mantra is saying. Now in Mundaka Upanishad, this is a very nice mantra. It says, Bidyate hritaya grantihi, chidyante sarva samshayaha, kshiyante cha asya karmani, tasmin drishte paravare. Develop that vision, paravare. In that vision, which is the same, above and below. Tasmin drishte, in that vision, what will happen? It says, Bidyate hritaya grantihi. This complex thing which is constraining us, that knot in the heart is unknotted. That's what it says. Bidyate, it's being unknotted. Which means this infinite energy which is locked in the hridaya kuhare, in that cave of the heart, will be released. Because these constraints and these restrictions are the ones which are blocking this flow of this energy. So that's what he says, Bidyate hridaya grantihi, chidyante sarva samshayaha. All doubts obliterate. So many things are sorted out. Because when we see it in small compartments, this is like 6 blind men seeing an elephant. As long as they are seeing pieces, they have a certain understanding of it, and they only a certain perspective of it. It can generate fear, it can generate happiness, it can generate anything. Moment the wholesome picture is understood, that is resolved. All doubts are obliterated. So that's why he says, Chidyante sarva samshayaha, kshiyante chasya karmani. This whole idea of why do we work and what do we work, what vasanas we collect out of work, all of them will go. That clarity will take out a lot of things out of us. So vasanas will stop accumulating. Because that is the only way by which liberation will happen. So that's why he says, kshiyante, it shrinks. It keeps on shrinking. Asya karmani. Means his vasanas will start evaporating. Because this clarity is there now. There is nothing to worry and be tensed about. There is a larger understanding of life, and then I keep going. When tasmin drishte paravare, when this vision of oneness is understood and serious effort is made to experience, and that slightest experience is all that we need. So Mundaka Upanishad says it in a different way. Tasmin drishte paravare. Then the Shruti said, Yada hyevaisha etasmin udaram antaram kurute. Etasmin udaram antaram kurute. Ata tasya bhayam bhavati. So it says, yada, when in that perspective or in that concept, in that idea, which is the real idea, which is the original thing, in that udaram antaram kurute. Antaram is the slightest, udaram is the dent, or samshaya, or you create a certain distinction. The oneness is now cut into even the slightest piece. Make a small hairline thick crack and then make it two. Udaram antaram kurute. Moment that is done, atatasya bhayam bhavati. Then thereafter he will get fear. Now this usage is so interesting. Look at the usage. This is a very important thing to understand. So you know what it is suggesting? It is suggesting inherently we are one. We are now tweaking it. That is what it is saying. It is saying inherently it was one. You only created the difference. That is how the position it has taken. It never said it is already separate, you take a gum and start sticking it. It is not saying like that. It is coming from the other side. It is saying when you do it. So that usage, there is a subtlety in that usage. Because the entire Vedantic wisdom, which people like Vivekananda all the time was saying, Vayam sarve amartya purushaha, Shvetashvara Upanishad. Vivekananda quite often used to, we are all children of divinity. So what is the idea? Our Vedantic knowledge says, you are inherently perfect. You have done something on it. Basic material is pure. You added impurity. Same thing it is saying here. So in other words, how do somebody get jnana? Nobody can get jnana. Because we are jnanamaya. Just because the Pancha Kosha also said that. You cannot get jnana, but when, in a figurative sense, when you say he gets jnana, what we mean is we removed the jnana. It is inherently good. It's like there is a mirror. Chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita has this. Last 4 slokas he gives 3 different examples. Just like a mirror is completely covered with dirt. If a mirror is completely covered with dirt, you have to only remove the dirt. Mirror inherently has a capability to radiate images. It is temporarily, covered. That is a first example it gives in 39th shloka or something in chapter 3. 40th shloka he says yata ulbanam. Just like the shishu is covered in a womb, you have to take it out. It is shrouded in some cover. You at the right time you have to remove it. So it is already there. We are not seeing it. So it is peeling away the. So here what Shruti is saying, it is coming from the other side. It is saying how we added the layer. Then later it says remove the layer. So it says, Etasmin udaram antaram kurute. You made the slightest distinction. Ideally you should not have. Because you made that slightest distinction, ataha tasya bhayam bhavati. He got fear. So all of us entered into a fear because we created the duality. That's what Shruti is saying. Inherently we don't have to, but we created. In fact, we are playing a reverse game. This is a very funny game we are playing. We, we make ourselves imperfect and then spend a phenomenal time to discover that perfection. Looks like. That is the kind of game that we seem to be playing. It is perfection, but we first cover it. Then let's now try to uncover it and rediscover it, and finally. Something like that is what it is saying. Tatyeva bhayam. The same entity which was abhayam, tatyeva bhayam abhavat. That's what it is saying. So the Brahman is both bhayam and abhayam. It is the eye of the beholder. If you see Brahman as one, that Brahman is a matter of joy. It's Anandamaya Kosha. But if you see Brahman as split into pieces in all possibilities, we have inherently we have that problem. We have, split on the basis of language, on the basis of gender, on the basis of caste, on the basis of so many things we are doing it in Vyavahara. So all those will introduce its own dimensions of fear, because conceptually, when you see more than one, you have to have fear. That is a message which it is really pushing. So Amanvanasya, he is not a good thinker. He is not a Manvanaha, it is Amanvanaha. He is not a good thinker. He has not reflected properly. Because he did not reflect properly, he got into fear. So that is what it actually says in this mantra. So the point it is making, I think at the end of it, what is the mantra? It's called Ubhaya Pratishta. I have put a subtitle to this called Ubhaya Pratishta on the top. It's called Ubhaya Pratishta because Brahman manifests both ways. Ubhaya, both ways. If we see oneness, it manifests as real joy, power and bliss and so on. If you see it as a differentiated lot, it will manifest as fear. That's why it's called Ubhaya Pratishta. It manifests itself in both ways. So these ideas are everywhere, but these two are connected to one another. So I thought I will, just give that mantras. In Viveka Chudamani he says, Paripurnam Anadi, Anadyantam, Anadi and Anantam also, Anadyantam, Aprameyam, Avikriyam, that which is not amenable for transaction. Avikriyam is that which is not available for, Vikriya is transacting, selling or transacting, meaning is transacting. And then Paripurnam, full, Anadyantam, beginningless, endless, Nasadiya Suktam I showed. Anadyantam, Aprameyam, it is not limited and measured. It is not measured in a few limited ways. So that Ekameva Dvayam, it is one without a second. It is at the end of the day, some total of all of that is that one entity, the God particle. Right? Na iha nanasti kinchana. Here it can never be in multiple, if you understand it in multiple ways, there is a problem. That's what he says. Na iha nanasti. It never is here in multiple ways, although we may see it like that. We may see it like that, it is like this. It is, he says, in some other places he mentions this example. He says, let's say there is a child sitting with the mother, and the mother has a mirror. So there is, there's some image which is reflecting in the mirror. Correct? So there is, the child looks at the image, let's say there is an image of a dog, the child says there is a dog. The child is at a level of ignorance. It has not understood the bimba, pratibimba and all that. So it says, Amma, there is a dog. Suppose you put the mirror, it gets 20 pieces, you will find 20 dogs there. Actually, there will be 20 dogs. So a child will think there are 20 dogs. So this Nanatva is like that. The Sat Chit Ananda is reflecting. It is reflecting in multiple mediums. Just to understand Pritak, separate is a level of ignorance. That is the simile that they give. That one reflected image, just because the reflecting medium became many, for whatever reason, and by seeing many images, how can we come to a conclusion there are many objects? The original is only one. The images are many on account of the fact that the reflecting medium is many. So that is the point. So na iha nanasti kinchana. Never there can be multiplicity. The reflecting mediums are many. It reflects in many mediums. Therefore it appears. There is this nice story. In fact, in South Indian temples, I don't know if I have seen it in Karnataka, I am sure it should be there. In Tamil Nadu I have seen. There is this Darpana Mandapa. Full of mirrors. You actually, in Madurai temple and all I have seen. If you get into that room, you should see 1,000 of you. It is to actually remind this. It's a Sukshmartha there. It is actually to remind this, that the multiplicity that you see are one source. How do you tell it? In temples they have Darpana Mandapa for that. You go in there and you see 1,000 Mahadevans, don't come to a conclusion there are 1,000 Mahadevans. It doesn't make sense. It is this one which is reflecting in 1,000 mirrors. That is the idea. Whereas, there is a story, a dog went in, and then the dog saw there are 1,000 dogs ferociously looking at it, because this dog was ferocious. So there are 1,000 dogs looking at it ferociously, so it got very annoyed. He said, why is this world so cruel? I just came to one corner, 1,000 fellows who are around me. So it barked. So the 1,000 dogs barked down. Moment this dog barked, 1,000 dogs also barked. So this dog got even more ferocious by its very nature. It pounced on one of the dogs, that dog also pounced. All the 1,000 dogs pounced on it. So it kept fighting these dogs, and it felt tired. Then one fellow came in and laughed at it, took the dog and threw it away. And then after 6 hours, 8 hours, slowly it gathered its strength and went away. This is what we are doing, in some sense. This nanatva puts us into that. All kinds of fights, all kinds of subdivisional things and all that. In Vyavahara, at one level, we are doing all that. So that Darpana Mandapa, you put a dog there and put a person there, it should make a difference. So we have to choose whether we want to be dogs or a person. That is why the Darpana Mandapa is there in temples, I am told. I heard somewhere. I thought there is a lot of sense in that. So that is what he says, Neha nanasti kinchana. Kathopanishad says the same thing. Look at what it is saying. Yadeveha tad amutra. Yad eva iha tad amutra. What you see here, you have to see elsewhere. Elsewhere meaning everywhere. Elsewhere meaning other than this. That is the meaning of elsewhere. So yadeveha tad amutra. Yad amutra tadinviha. What you see elsewhere, you must be able to see here. Right? If you are not able to see that, the next line says, Mrityoho saha mrityum apnoti. People who cannot develop this perspective will go from one death to another death. Janma jara vyadi marana. Janma jara vyadi marana. Janma jara vyadi marana. This is a cycle. So he says, Mrityoho saha mrityum apnoti. Who? Yaha. That person. Iha naneva pashyati. He is seeing world of multiplicity here. That's what Kathopanishad says in the second line. Yaha iha naneva pashyati saha mrityoho mrityum apnoti. From one death he will go to another death. He will go through this train of birth and death. That's what Kathopanishad is saying. So these different Upanishads talk the same ideas. That's why I gave one idea from Mundakopanishad, one idea from Kathopanishad, because they are all telling it from different ways. But the fact is the same, that a non-duality feeling is one which will take fear. Otherwise the fear generates karmas generate vasanas. Then we get into a broader framework of things which takes us again and again through janma and samsara and things like that. So that is what these mantras are saying. So it said tadapyesha shloko bhavati. So the Rigveda quote is now going to come, because the entire Brahmanandavali is like that. It tells 4 sentences and says, I will now quote it from Rigveda. That's why tadapyesha shloko bhavati. The following verse talks about it. So let's see that following verse. So this is a fairly long Anuvaka, penultimate Anuvaka, beautiful Anuvaka. It's called Brahmananda Mimamsa, an inquiry into Brahmananda. It's a very long Anuvaka. Anyway, I'll recite it. So beautiful to recite also. So I'll recite it first and then we will see. Bishasma dvataf pavate Bisho deti suryah Bishasmad agnischendrascha Mrityurdhavati panchama iti Saishanandasya mima gumsa bhavati Yuvasyat sadhu yuvadhyayakah Asishto dridishto balishthah Tasyeyam prithvi sarva vittasya purnasyat Sa eko manusha anandah Te yeshatam manusha anandah Sa eko manushya gandharvanam anandah Shrotriyasya chaka mahatasya ते ये शतं मनुष्य गन्धर्वाणामानन्दाः स एको देवगन्धर्वाणामानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य चाकामः तस्य ते ये शतं देवगन्धर्वाणामानन्दाः स एकपितॄणां चिरलोकलोकानामानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य चाकामः तस्य ते ये शतं पितॄणां चिरलोकलोकानामानन्दाः स एक आजानजानां देवानामानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य चाकामः तस्य ते ये शतं आजानजानां देवानामानन्दाः स एक कर्मदेवानां देवानामानन्दः ये कर्मणा देवानपिर्यन्ति श्रोत्रियस्य चाकामः तस्य ते ये शतं कर्मदेवानां देवानामानन्दाः स एको देवानामानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य चाकामः तस्य ते ये शतं देवानामानन्दाः स एक इन्द्रस्यानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य चाकामः तस्य ते ये शतं इन्द्रस्यानन्दाः स एको बृहस्पतेरानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य चाकामः तस्य ते ये शतं बृहस्पतेरानन्दाः स एक प्रजापतेरानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य चाकामः तस्य ते ये शतं प्रजापतेरानन्दाः स एको ब्रह्मण आनन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य चाकामः तस्य स यश्चायं पुरुषे यश्चासावादित्ये स एकः स य एवंवित् अस्माल्लोकात् प्रेत्य एतमन्नमयमात्मानमुपसंक्रामति एतं प्राणमयमात्मानमुपसंक्रामति एतं मनोमयमात्मानमुपसंक्रामति एतं विज्ञानमयमात्मानमुपसंक्रामति एतमानन्दमयमात्मानमुपसंक्रामति तदप्येष श्लोको भवति. It's a beautiful long, however long it is. Remember, there were three questions. Earlier there were three questions. One implied question whether Brahman exists or not. So far the argument is Brahman exists. It used 7 types of arguments. It said Brahman is the Nimitta Karana, Brahman is the Upadana Karana, Brahman manifests in Jiva Rupa. Third, Brahman is one which is the Chetana. In the Achetana there is a Chetana that you see, that is also a Brahman. Brahman is Rasamaya, Raso Vaisaha, right? Then there were 7 such arguments. I don't remember the other 2. Brahman is the one which generates fear. The feeling of fear that we have reminds us of Brahman. So like that there are 7 arguments. Because there was this implied question, Brahman exists or not. Now there are 2 more questions which the Shruti never answered. Uta vidwan amul lokam pretya kaschana gaschati. Aho vidwan amul lokam pretya kaschit samashnuta. This known person who knows Brahman, where does he grow? Where does he go? Person who does not know Brahman, what happens to him? That is being answered in this long passage. That's why it says, Etamannamayam upasankramati, etamam, pranamayam atmanam. He crosses this, like that. It gives an answer to this question which has not been answered yet. Now this is, Mimamsa means deep inquiry. That's why it's called Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. Mimamsa is a research-oriented inquiry, if I have to use some modern terms. A deep inquiry, contemplation into understanding something is called Mimamsa. That's why our thing called Purva Mimamsa, which is Atato Dharma Jignasa. And Uttara Mimamsa says Atato Brahma Jignasa. This is Brahma Sutra and there is Dharma Sutra. So that is inquiry into the first part, this is inquiry into the second part. So Mimamsa means research. So here is a research on Brahmananda. Brahmananda Mimamsa, this particular section. So we need to develop a good understanding of Ananda. You remember we had this Panchakosha being discussed in Brahmananda Valli. So the last one was Anandamaya Kosha. Brahma Pucham Pratishta. That's how we ended. It said it is in this Anandamaya Kosha, its support is the Brahman. So Brahman is the root cause of Ananda. That is what it said. It is a Ananda Kosha. It is a limited packet of Ananda. It's a Kosha Ananda. Whereas here it talks about Brahmananda. So the question is, what is this Koshananda and Brahmananda? Little bit we'll get that understanding before we get into this Anuvaka. But before that, there are these Tatapyesha Shloko, but the fear. Tatash Eta Shloko Bhavati, it ended. So that quote must come, then Brahmananda Mimamsa. So that quote is here. So it says, Bishasma Dvataf Pavate. It says, this Vataha, that Vataha, Bisha, Asmad Bishaha, out of fear of that, Pavate, it moves about. That's why it's called Pavana. Pavaka, Pavana, Pavanatmaja is Hanuman. So Pavate is that which moves about. That is the root. Right? So, Bisha Asmat, out of fear of that concept of Brahman, we'll first see the, Stulartha, then we'll see the. So it says, Asmat Bisha Vataha Pavate. The wind blows on account of the fear of that Lord. That is the, Stulartha. Bisho Deti Suryaha. The Surya rises every day out of fear. Bishaha Udeti Suryaha. So the sun rises on account of fear. That's what it says. Then it says, Bisha Asmat Agnischa Indrascha. These Agni and Indra, they also do whatever duties that they are supposed to, because Indra is all about thunder, lightning, water, rain and all that. And Agni is the fire. So the Panchabhutas will be somewhere here, in some ways, if you see. So, Bisha, Asmat Bisha, Agnihi cha Indrascha. So, Agni and Indra also works on account of the fear. That's what it says. Mrityuhu Davati Panchamaiti. Panchama means the fifth. There are four already mentioned. The four are Vayu, Surya, Agni and Indra. So, this is the fifth one, which is Mrityu, the Yama, the Lord of Death. The Lord of Death also works ceaselessly on account of fear. So that's what it is saying. The mantra is saying, so this is a Rigvedic quote for fear, which we ended with the previous mantra. Iti. Iti is the end of the quote. So it says, Mrityurdavati Panchama Iti. The Iti is the end of the Rigvedic quote. So after that only that Brahmananda Mimamsa starts. Okay? So the point is, at one level, the first question we need to ask is, why are all these working? No, it works at such a precision. It's such a complex thing. I don't know how much we are able to get out of science. We are able to attribute it to a certain kind of thing. But what we cannot attribute is why Agni must continue to have its warmth. Why not it do something else? Or, water, why does it have that sapidity? Raso Vaisaha, that Rasopsu Aham Kaunteya. That's what he says in Bhagavad Gita. He says in chapter 7, he gives these kinds of examples. He says, Rasaha Apsu Kaunteya Aham. The sapidity you see in water, see God there. That's what Krishna said there. That sapidity which is the inherent property. In other words, what one level to understand is, who caused all these inherent properties and made sure that inherent property, we are only seeing it. We are putting some scientific experiments and seeing it. Vedanta is all about who, not what or how. The question is, who did that? How did the whole thing start? And why do they work with certain... So in other words, first of all, the easy understanding of the fear, which Bhashya and everybody also say, is this quote is saying that in our scheme of things, to become a Deva, you have to have bountiful of good karmas. So let us look at where is it coming from. First of all, it says, I have now taken people who are supposed to have had enormous amount of good karma that they have been rewarded. These are positions actually. Surya and Vayu and Agni are actually positions where people are appointed. That is our scheme of things. And in order to get appointed there, you must have acquired so much of credit. No, today you have all this payback and all that. Na? You have 30,000 points, you can buy a bedsheet. Maybe 50,000 points, you can buy something else. Whenever you put petrol, you get some payback points. So it's a similar idea only. It is yajna, good karma and all that. So these entities that we are talking about have come with a great amount of good karma. What is this Rigveda saying? Even with all that good karma, they are still reveling in the idea of duality, or that one more than one. That is why they have fear. That is what it is trying to first communicate. It is trying to communicate, no great your power is, no great your karma and all that is, if you are not able to step out of the domain of you and the rest, you will be seized with fear. So that is the message. So this fear has to be first understood that way, that all these entities have their own identity, and through that identity they are still seeing duality other than myself. That's why they have to have fear, and on that fear only they have to work. That is one way to understand. But the other way to understand this mantra is to say that fear is a very figurative word. Basically, what is it saying? It is saying the Lords of the Lord manifest itself as cosmic order. It's called rhythm. It is that rhythm in English. There is a rhythm. And that rhythm is a manifestation of that cosmic order. That is why climates happen. There is, out of all these complex processes, out of all these chaos of this physical system, there is still an order. There is still an order which governs the chaos. And there is an order which actually, we are not able to see that order is not the same as saying there is no order. Although science fancies itself doing that kind of assumption sometimes. Our inability to see an order is not equal to an order does not exist. It is equal to saying it is not manifesting now, it is not evident to me, I am not able to make sense of it. And I think that's the path on which anyway we will progress from using a metaphor of science. But we can't say it doesn't exist. So maybe this mantra is saying this fact that all these natural forces work, these complex natural forces seem to have so much of harmony with which, why can't earth rotate a little slower? At least we'll have more than 24 hours per a day. That way life can be a little more easier. Why is it not? We use physics and gravitational force. These are all tags we are using. And we are explaining the how part of it. We are not able to explain the who part of it. So this mantra in a way says that all these must remind us that there is the Lords of the Lord. Lord of the Lords, Lord of the Lords, which must exist. So that is being in a way communicated by this kind of mantra. That the rhythmic order that we see, the rhythm, the satyam and the rhythm that we see, satyam cha rhythm cha satyam abhavat also came just now in that mantra Brahmanandavalli. I am the satya, I am the rita, I am the sat. All I created. So that is being reminded through this shloka that you have. Then we get into this Ananda Mimamsa, which is continuing after this mantra. So in Panchadashi, I've been reading a little bit of Panchadashi because the reason I was reading Panchadashi is written by Vidyaranya, this great Rajarishi. It is called Panchadashi because there are 15 chapters. That's why it's called Panchadashi. The last 5 chapters are on Ananda. That's why I was sort of going through it. Because since I know that there is Ananda Mimamsa which is going to come, I was reading, it is called, Yogananda, Advaita Ananda, Vishayananda, Vidyananda, like that. There are 5 chapters. It ends with that. So people say the Brahmananda is now described in 5 different layers of sophistication. Vishayananda is the lowest, then Vidyananda, then Advaita Ananda, Yogananda and Brahma, like that. So anyway, since I was reading, I saw a few. So he extensively quotes in Panchadashi from all, Upanishads and all this. So this is exactly what he says here. Look at what he is saying. Vayuhu, he is quoting the Rigveda mantra only in a different way. Vayuhu, Suryaha, Vannihi, Indraha, Mrityuhu. Exactly that 5. In that exactly the same order. Bishasma Dvataf Pavate, Bishote Ti Suryaha, Bishatma Agnischa Indrascha, Mrityur Davati. So in that order only it is coming.
Copy.
Yes. They have been had no difficulty in copying. It is better you tell where from you have taken and so on. He says, he says, it's from Kathopanishad, like that he quite often says. Vayuhu Suryaha Vannihi, Indraha, and I think this is not on, I think. Okay. Mrityuhu, all these 5, he says, Janmantare Antaram Kritva. In the previous Janma, although they did a lot of good karma, they got into this mode of distinction. Udaram Antaram Kurute, we said in Taittiriya Upanishad, he uses the same word Antaram. On account of the fact that they got into the mode of duality. Right? Janmantare. Although they did a lot of good karma for which they were rewarded these positions, but what they carried with them is this feeling of not one. So Janmantare Antaram Kritva, Dharmam.
Has duality.
Huh?
Indra also has duality.
Yeah. Not Indra, up to Brahma. I will show you. Brahmananda Mimamsa we will see. All these are positions. It's a very detailed, so when we see the Mimamsa a little bit I will say, because so Dharmam Vijananti Api, even though they knew, they had the body of knowledge, they could not experience and internalize it and practice it for themselves. See, knowing is one, practicing is another. We all have our own, knowledge versus practice gap. Because it's a very long gap. We can have a lot of knowledge. This is a genuine problem that we go through. So it says, Dharmam Vijananti Api, Asmad Bhitya Charanti. Why Asmad Bhitya Charanti? Because Janmantare Antaram Kritva. Although they had the know-how, they could not translate it into reality. Therefore, they are suffering from the duality. Since they have duality, they have to also have fear. So that is what he is saying in this shloka. In a way, he is sort of trying to explain that Rigveda quote like this. And as I told you, Panchadashi has 5 chapters on Ananda. Of course, he said Anandaha Trividaha. He says there are 3 types of Ananda. Brahmanandaha, Vidya Sukam atava Vidyanandaha, Tata Vishayanandaha iti. In chapter 11 to 15 is a discussion on Ananda. So in the first chapter itself, he first says there are 3 types of Ananda. So although I was looking for a cute definition for each one of them, which is not there, it is a very, it is being discussed in a particular way. Wherever I could get a definition, I could bring way he was trying to, explain it. So in 14th chapter, he says, Vishayanandavat, just like Vishayananda, Vidyanandaha, Divritti Rupakaha. So it is this contemplation of the Buddhi through which you will get Vidyananda and Vishayananda. That's what he is trying to say. Vishayanandavat, Vidyanandaha, Divritti Rupakaha, and Dukkha Abhavat, Dukkha Bhavadi Rupena, Dukkha Bhavati, Dukkha Abhavadi Rupena. There is a Dirgha there, Hraswana. Dukkha Bhavadi, which means Dukkha Abhavadi. Dukkha Bhavadi Rupena Proktaha, Yeshaha Chaturvidaha. So he gives 2 important messages. First he said there are 3 types of Anandas. He said Brahmananda, then Vidyananda and Vishayananda. He says this Vishayananda and Vidyananda are at the brain, at the Kshetram level. It is contemplation, reflection, adjusting our behavioral pattern at that level. That's what he says. Vishayananda and Vidyananda are Dhivritti Rupakaha. When you cross all these Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara and go, then comes Brahmananda. So that is outside of this domain. That's the first point he is making. And he says this Vidyananda has, the property of Vidyananda is Dukkasya Bhavaha. And also it is 4 types, he says. What are those 4 types? Dukkasya Abhava Yetal, Abhavadi. And also, so there are 4 he is talking. What are those? Dukkasya Abhavaha. First he says, if you have Vidyananda, your Dukkha will not be there. Bhiti is different from Dukkha. Dukkasya abhavaha. Bhityaha abhavaha, he never said. Dukkasya abhavaha. Dukkha abhavaha. Kamaptihi. Full, there is sense of enough of kama. Enough. That will come. He says, if you had mastered the Vidyananda, the sense of fulfillment, enough of these worldly things, that kind of a feeling will come. That is the second prayojana of Vidyananda. Kamaptihi. Kritakrityaha. I have achieved everything has to be achieved. That feeling will come. Kritakritya bhavaha. Kritakrityaha aham iti. So I am one who is achieved what has to be achieved, fulfilled my desires, and that is why dukkha is not there. See, dukkha is coming out of this. See, we get very agitated. Oh, I haven't got it. This promotion has not happened to me. This has not happened. That has not happened. Kritakritasya bhava, if we have, dukkha will go. And also kamapti. Both can happen. So he says that will happen. Then he says, asau prapta prapya. Whatever I have to attain, I have attained. That feeling will also come. Whatever I have to attain, I have attained. So whatever I have to attain, I have attained. Whatever I am supposed to achieve, I have achieved. So once you have these two, that is kamaptihi. And once you have kamaptihi, dukkasya abhavaha. That's the four prayojanas he talks about. These are the four vidas. Aham iti eva chatur vidyam udahritam. He says this is how a Vidyananda must take you. Otherwise it is all avidya. Anything which is not getting us here, according to this definition, is avidya. So most of what we do in MBA is we get them into dukkha. We royally get them into a state of dukkha. Because we say fight, this, that, all that I'll teach in the other classroom. So don't blame me for that. But so it is avidya. By this sense of the term, it is avidya.
So you have to put a disclaimer for them when you teach it.
No, they will put a disclaimer, you get out of the classroom. Anyway, so basically what he is saying is a true good vidya, definition of vidya is which should make us more contented. No? Leave all other things aside. In a lighter vein, all that, let it be there. I think the more serious issue is a true definition of vidya is which makes you a complete person, which is what Swami Vivekananda says. What did Swami Vivekananda say? Education must make you complete. We are not there. That kind of education is not in our framework. Vidya must make me complete. Vidya must make sure that propensity for me to feel dejected, propensity for me to feel misery must come down. It doesn't come down, I'll have to go back to the drawing board and ask. Our education planners have to do it. They have to ask what education what we are doing, because it cannot lead me to more and more misery or more and more tension, more and more, many things. So that is what he is saying. Vidyananda must lead to that kind of a situation. Anyway, so before we get into the Brahmananda Mimamsa, we should understand that so far in Brahmanandavalli he talked about Anandamaya Kosha. So there Maya Pratyaya, we said Vikarartha. It is constrained, it is limited. That was the definition you see in the Bhashyas, Acharya's Bhashya, you will see that. So the question is, what is the difference between these two? We have to get that clear. Then we will see the Brahmananda Mimamsa. What is essentially the difference between Atmananda and Koshananda? In other words, Brahmananda. Atmananda or Atmananda, whatever. Atmananda and Koshananda, what is the difference? Well, there are four important parameters on which we must, four attributes with which we can differentiate. The first attribute is Bimba Pratibimba. A Brahmananda is like a bimba. It's like an object. Whereas a Koshananda is a reflected image of the object. It's a huge difference between the object and the reflected image. There's a huge difference between the two. Because, if you have an object, moment you say if you reflect it, if you fail to understand that is a reflected image and this is the object. In fact, Adi Shankara, when he went to Benares taking bath, When Chandala came, he said, move, move. At that time, Chandala sprang back with a beautiful shloka. He said, Annamayat Annamayam. Chaitanyameva Chaitanyat. Dujavara Duri Kartu Vanchasi Kimbrohi Gachagacheti. When you said move, move, you wanted the Annamaya to move from Annamaya or Chaitanya to move from Chaitanya. Like that. Then there was a second shloka. We said, Kim Gangambuni Ambaramano Chandala Viti Payaha Pure Vantaramasti Kanchana Gadi Mritkumbayorva Ambare. Pratyag Vastuni Nistaranga Sahajananda Avabodambudau Viproyam Shopachoyam iti Mahan Koyam Vibeda Brahmaha. Beautiful shloka. It says, Kim Gangambuni, crystal clear waters of Ganges. Kim, what? The Chandala asked two questions actually to Adi Shankara. Two questions. First question is, Gangambuni Bimbaramanau, Ambaramanau. This sun's thing is getting reflected. That is the object. I am now talking about the reflected image. Kim Gangambani Ambaramanau Chandala Viti Payaha. The sun can reflect on crystal clear waters of Ganges. The sun can reflect on the dirty water in front of a slum. This is first example. Sun can reflect on a crystal clear water. Sun can reflect on a dirty water. This is the first example. Second example, Pure Vantaramasti Kanchana Gati Mrit Kumbaha. There you take a golden pot, you take a mud pot, fill both of them half with something. Rice, water, whatever. So now the question is, which space is a superior space? The space in a golden pot or the space in a mud pot? This is the second question. Pureva antaramasti, Kanchana Gati, which is a golden pot, Mrit Kumbaha, which is a mud pot. He says, which one is Ambasi? Which space is a better space? Pureva antaramasi, Kanchana Gati, Mrit Ambayorva Ambare. After asking these two questions, then the third line comes, Pratyag Vastuni, in every Vastu, Nistaranja Sagajananda Avabodam Budau. There is this core kernel of every Vastu is that Satchit Ananda. Pratyag Vastuni Nistaranga Sahajananda Avabodam Budau. When you have understood that, Viproyam Shopachoyam iti Mahan Koyam Vibeda Brahmaha. Where did you get this confusion? That was that shloka. But the point is, the reason I brought that shloka is, if you mistake image to the object, you are in deep trouble. You will be completely misinformed. Na? On seeing a dirty sun and the dirty water, you will come to a conclusion, sun is dirty. Which is a huge mistake. And then sun will become a shaking sun, because the water will now start shaking. Now you will introduce the next property to the sun. Sun generally jumps up and down. So I can go on putting a set of ideas. If you understand Pratibimba is, if you think Pratibimba is a reality, then you have missed the essence. Or, sun is reflecting on a mirror. I break the mirror and say generally there can be any number of suns as you want. I can come to that conclusion. So it will lead us into a total path of ignorance. That is the point I am trying to make. So Koshananda is like a Pratibimba. It is a reflected Ananda. It is not the original Ananda. It is an Ananda which is reflected. Now, the moment you say it is a reflected Ananda, then it is inevitable that you need a reflecting medium. If it is an image, then you need a reflecting medium. So now the question is, then we are ready in a position to say that the reflection can be many now. The quality of reflection can be many. Because it depends on the medium. If the mirror is smoky, you don't get a good reflection. The mirror is crystal clear, you get a good reflection. If the mirror is having a shade of some other thing, you will get that also in the reflection. So the first thing we need to understand in this whole Ananda discussion is Koshananda is an imperfect, perhaps, version of the originality, because it critically depends on the medium which is reflecting it. You and I are the medium. Or the Manas is the medium. Rather than saying you and I, the Manas is the medium. Manas is the mirror on which this Brahman is reflecting. That Atmananda is now mapping to us through a mirror, so much depends on the mirror. So this is the first issue. 3 more we will see in the next class. It's already 7. We will stop here. We will continue in the next class. Thank you.